Well, there have always been kids at Rain. Jerry James was the first person I worked with years ago on the beach, and he had we were both single fathers, and we both had little kids, and we took them to the first burn. That was our idea of, that was the fathers having an idea about what to do with the kids. And so we invented stuff, you know. We had originally taken our kids out and we'd make things in the shop so they could make things. This is pretty boy stuff. It doesn't have to be, though. I would have done the same thing with a daughter, I think. And then we'd have adventures. You know, in San Francisco, there were all these batteries left over for World War II that they built to resist the Japanese invasion that never came. And so we'd go to the shop, and it was just one thing we'd do. See, we were taking the stuff that was happening in the culture that we were part of creating in San Francisco, and then translating it into fun with the kids. So really, the kids in Burning Man were always just phases of one thing. And anybody who takes kids out there knows that it's a wonderland for kids. And they can take delight and experience wonder in the same way at the same time as the adults, and for the same reason. Well, how often do you get to do that? How meaningful is that? Instead of lodging them in front, dropping off in front of a TV that knows exactly what that demographic responds to. You know, that's kind of soul annihilating. Well, kids will take what nurture they can, but you can give them better provender than that. So one day we were out there and we'd made our guns. They didn't look like real guns. Nobody, not even a panicky policeman, well, you don't know these days, would mistake those for real guns. But and they were clearly wooden. And made with a glue gun. Another. Don't carry a glue gun on the street. You're going to get plugged. What are things coming to? And so we went out to this, and there was a battery over at the other end of the Golden Gate Bridge over in, we're going to walk down to this site over in Marin County. And it was the perfect place to play guns. That's where the big guns were originally. And wonderful, mysterious landscape. And we got out of our car, we were going to walk down, and a woman came up to us and said, this is very Marin County, a woman said, I can't believe you're doing that. Teaching your children to use these death weapons. And we didn't know what to say. We looked at her, and Jerry, we looked at the kids looked at us, and then we shot her. And left, maybe she called armored police or something. And so that's the kind of fun we had with them. We would do stuff like that continuously, because the theory was that it had to be fun, and it had to be fun for them, it had to be fun for us for the same reason. Let's that they're open. That's the great thing about kids. They're uncensored. It looks like superior creativity. In some way it is, but it's because they're uncensored, not because they have the discipline that an artist would need to really do art, but it's near the soul of art, and so and we did a whole bunch of things like that, and I was usually the one initiating these ideas, and let's do that, and let's do that, and that's exactly what Cacophony Society was doing, and. So kids were always part of it, Kids were not part of Cacophony. That was a hipster urban kind of thing, and but we were always a family. Had this sort of family spirit, and so when we went out to the desert, there were kids out there in the first year, and then other parents thought, oh, you can do that, and it's not going to harm them. So now there's a big population. And so that leads to the fundamental question. How could you have a community, a real community that has a soulful memory backwards and it's connected to itself in time? How could you have a real community without having kids in it? How can you have a real community without having elders in it and kids? You know, how can you have a real community if the elders and the kids aren't talking to one another and the parents in the middle are looking at both of them? That's what family's for. That's the soulful purpose of a family. I mean, that's just what they are. And so we weren't just an entertainment event. We're not just an entertainment event. You know, we're a community. And we've had to fight to keep the kids there. We got our own swingers. They're over on the left wing somewhere. I wouldn't like a kid to see the kind of stuff I do out here, but what are you doing out here? You don't want to see. I probably wouldn't want to see it either. Now you bring it up, what is it? And then you've got the religious conservatives outside our community saying, you know, that just, you know, that harms the children. Save the children. And I don't know what they do with their kids. Hopefully they do things. They read Bible stories. That's fine, you know. But this is adults. This is 3 generations doing constructive and playful things together. Well, isn't the American dream of what the picnic is supposed to look like? And almost never does. Almost never does. You know, the grandfather sits over there. He can't even hear anymore. No one pays attention to him. And the kids, they go off. Now they be doing their games, and then the parents, you know, talk about insurance and fertilizer for the lawn. It's a cruel cartoon I'm painting, but that comes close though to the reality of American life, in which there's this strict age segregation because you can make more money if you separate demographics and sell to them separately. You can make a lot more money. And you're not going to make any money if the economy is based on fathers building guns out of wood and playing with their kids. That didn't cost anything, really, except for the glue, and it was scrap lumber to begin with. There's no money to be made there. And I'm not saying there's a conspiracy, but it amounts to it, you know, the way economics does. It's a train of these of decisions that are primarily based on consumption and use advertising, you know, and skip any kind of social context altogether. And so that's how you make more money. You know, you got 100 little market niches, you know, and they even have cute names for them, and it's really strange. And you're selling to all of them, then you're generating a lot more consumption, and that means profit. And that's what commodification is about. And what you've done is a connection with other people that is authentic and creative and inspiring and causes you to identify with them. And it gets gradually displaced between by individual desire that's trumped up to look like it's meaningful. And they're really good at doing that. So, you know, but I don't say that to the parents the people with religious convictions, but I do say that I sign our record, and that is it's the safest place for kids you could think of. We're very responsible, and do a lot to protect children. But we have to have kids. I mean, that's one issue we'd go to the mat over. I mean, we would. We'd make it an existential issue, and we have before now. And our opponents are often puzzled by our fervor. And I'm sorry, the swingers can have their own swinging camps, you know. They can make a little pool and come out, hey baby, and swing around. Have key parties. You can have key parties, you just can't drive your car. How about key parties out there? Key parties. Well, who do we have here? Remember key parties? Remember back in the 80s, 90s? Well, that was a half suburban myth, but I bet people did it. And you go to the party and you put all your keys in a bowl, and then the people would take out the keys, and that'd be their lover for the night. Ooh. They can do that at the event. They just can't drive their car around. That should be a theme camp, you know, key party camp. Ooh, I like your keys. Yeah, that's what they really want, I suppose. I'm just getting silly. I got to go eat a little
Yes,
and
you
go
do.
home.
Yes.
Thank you so
Well,
much
thank
for
you,
giving us
Ian.